Hi everyone, I'm Stephen Kalajian and welcome to SKTrading.live, and thank you for being here live with me today. Wow, what a day in the markets today. Unbelievable. We saw the S&P futures trading near the lows of the day, 55, 54, 55 and a half. And then we saw this big end of the day rally. Again, it was the rebalancing end of the quarter, end of the month, not the end of the quarter, end of the month. And we saw the markets rip from the 55 35 level on the S&Ps all the way up to 56.20 after hours. But at the end of the day, we saw Microsoft, and Microsoft is up over 6% right now, up over 24 points. Meta is up over 26 points, up about 4.8%. What a wild day here. Again, basically, the way I teach my methodology is based upon looking at three conditions and five conditions in the market, but looking at three time frames. I look at a 15-minute, a 30-minute, and a 60-minute time frame. And I have five conditions: a trend, a buy reversal, a sell reversal, a correlation, and a disconnect. What happens here today was we were still bullish on the 60-minute time frames on my algorithm, on all the time frames. And then we got around 11 o'clock, we got the buy reversal around 11:15 on the 15-minute time frames, which put the market into what's called a buy disconnect. So that means that two of the three time frames are in buy mode. And then it was just looking for pullbacks after that on the indices, on individual names. I mean, Palantir was trading below around 110 and closed around the 118.50s, now trading up after hours. We saw MSTR, all these names way off the lows. And when we got those big buy reversals at around 11:15 on the 15-minute time frames, I posted and I said to everybody that the lows are in for the day. When that happens, it is really remarkable to be able to see, based upon pure mathematics, that I'm able to identify that the lows are in, the 15-minute time frames reversed. But then here was the killer, right? At around 12 o'clock, the 30-minute time frames all reversed to buy. So now you go into what in one of my conditions is a trend. All three time frames are in buy mode. One of the most powerful strategies I have is when the 60 minutes bullish, the 15-minute time frames bullish, using my indicator 4 on my chart overlay, which people from all around the world get to use. When that 30-minute time frame reversed to buy today, it's one of my most powerful strategies. And everybody in my community knows it. We got the first pullback on the 15-minute time frame at 12:30, then we got the big pullback at 3:15, 3:30. And that one was the monster. The S&P futures rallied about 70. NASDAQ futures rallied north of 200. It was an unbelievable pattern. Again, a little push with the end of the month, rebalancing here. But the pattern is the pattern. And so, again, being able to identify the pattern, being able to, the price leads, the indicators lag. However, once that picture was painted, I knew exactly what to do and how to trade it with our community. It was a monster day here all across. And I'm so excited because of the fact, so many people did well today. So many people have joined my community from all around the world, from Germany, France, Switzerland, Australia, all over, England, so many other countries. And I'm here because I want to be able to give back. I'm trading. I'm going to be starting my family office very soon, and being able to identify these patterns, to be able to teach you each and every day to enhance your life, to give you the power to be able to be great traders. As a mentor and someone who's been trading for over 41 years in the industry, this gives me a lot of great joy because my legacy depends on your success. This to me is something that I really wake up each and every morning and I can't wait to walk through that door, to be able to stream each and every day from 9 to 4 to my community, to talk to people on my Discord and my member Discord, to be able to teach my software, to really enhance people. I have to tell you, it's such a great joy at this stage of my life. 41 years in the industry, it is a remarkable time. And when you see the markets moving 130 points down on the S&P, and forget about the Nasdaq, whatever that was, got to be about 400 or 500, and then you rally 150 points at the end of the day. These are markets that you love to be involved with, okay? And this is how our community of traders from all around the world adapt to my software, my methodology, my teaching, based upon looking at 3 time frames. I make it as elementary as possible. Everybody has a different learning curve, right? And so you could be a novice. Some people take a lot sooner to learn than most, than others. But again, in the end, I teach based upon visualization and repetition. Everything I do is based upon dynamic learning. I don't look at books. Everything I do, I say the same thing over and over again each and every day. The learning curve here depends on how much time and effort and work you want to put in. I'm here every single day. I don't go for lunch. I'm here from 9 to 4. I run out maybe for a minute or two to use the men's room, and I come back, and that's about it. And I love being here. I want to just tell everybody, I have all my screens up like this, not to set the Guinness Book of World Records, but because I want to be able to identify the markets. I get a feel. I don't sit in front of one screen and tab. Don't worry about my electric bill. People worry about it. It's already included in my rent. I'm just making a joke. But with that being said, I'm able to disseminate all the information, see the patterns, see everything right before my eyes. The conditions in Avago, NVIDIA, Meta, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Palantir, AMD, all 4 ETFs, index futures, commodity futures, phenomenal pattern on gold at 310. Gold was trading 33.16, 33.15 and a half, and then boom, drops about 18 points based upon that sell pattern. So I'm able to see this, but I'm also able to disseminate the information not only to my community of traders from all around the world, but to hedge funds, family offices, and prop firms, and that who rely on information that I'm able to give them. And so that's important. But more so to be able to teach each and every one of you, whether you're trading Forex, index futures, commodity futures, stocks, ETF, Bitcoin, options, intraday options, it doesn't make a difference. The patterns are the patterns. And for me, this gives me a really great joy in my life to be able to take the time to be able to meet so many people. My phone blows up throughout the day. I always try to return people's texts or calls or, at the end of the day. But mostly it's about really guiding you and educating you on the methodology that I spent nearly 10 years of my life building. And I want to be able to share that with you. And hopefully I can give you the guidance and assistance and the ability to become great traders. One of the things I tell people all the time is, as far as the learning curve is concerned, it's really just looking at 3 time frames, 5 conditions. All my conditions are based upon divergence strategies. So if you have each of the 5 conditions, I have a buy and a sell divergence. And of the buy and the sell divergence, each condition has 2 strategies. That's it. So you have 5 conditions, 10 strategies, 3 time frames for intraday trading. If you want to do more type of a trading like intermediate term trading, then you have to look at the 60-minute, the daily, and the weekly. If you want to do more long-term trading, it's the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. There's about 1 million people in the world who actually can be able to sit in front of a screen or trade during the day. Hopefully in the next 6 to 8 months at sktrading.live, I'll be automating a lot of this where people can get actual dynamic alerts using my software on full optimization, including a lot of AI and quantum and causal theories to help really enhance the strategies. But also, I want to build, and I have this planned out, where people can actually take a portfolio of stocks that they like, using my algorithms and being able to identify the type of conditions and let the software be able to pick out the ideas and the trades for you to execute, and then obviously watch it, and and have it completely automated. So I'm hoping to have that in the first quarter of 2026. So again, that's something I'm really looking forward to, because again, it's a really great time for the markets. You can see the volatility, but more so, a lot of people don't have the time to be able to sit in front of a screen or during the day. So automation is coming at sktrading.live. With that being said, let's see if I have any questions here. All right. When you're watching the markets in real time, are the first 2 or 3 things you look at to start spotting the correlation clues? Okay, so that's a great question. Correlations come in 2 factors. One, they come in a stock, for example, today, or an ETF, when the 30-minute time frames reversed to buy and they correlated with the 15 and the 60-minute time frame, that's deemed a correlation based upon my conditions. Also, when you're looking at the futures markets trade nearly 24 hours in a day, where the underlying ETF stocks trade from 9:30 to 4, what's called regular hours. So with that being said, what I look for is when you get the buy reversals on my indicator 4 on the 30 or 60-minute time frames, and they start correlating with the futures markets and the underlying ETFs, then you better be going in that direction. That's exactly what happened. The index futures reversed to buy, and then around 10:30, 11 o'clock this morning on the 30 and 60-minute time frames, and then we were able to look for pullbacks on the 5 and 15-minute time frame. So that question here is, again, based upon visualization. Using my software, I'm able to identify these correlations and these conditions during live markets. Second question, what's one market correlation that most people completely overlook, but you found to be super powerful? Overlook? I don't know about overlooking. I think people have when I teach, people understand the trend, which means all 3 time frames are in buy mode, the 15 to 30 and the 60-minute time frame. I think if there's one thing people get a little bit stuck on, is the buy disconnect, where you have 2 out of 3 are bullish or 2 out of 3 are bearish. But again, because there are buy and sell divergences for each of the conditions, I think that people have a little hard time understanding the disconnect, where I'm like, okay, listen, it's not that hard. The 15 minutes bullish, the 60 minutes is bullish, 2 out of 3, you can still buy pullbacks. You're in a buy disconnect. And obviously they get more comfortable with it. And as time goes on throughout the day, they, again, I have so many new people from each and every day. I think the buy disconnect or sell disconnect sometimes people get a little hung up on, but they get it, and it just takes time. So I hope I answered your question with that. Let's say the NASDAQ is ripping, but the Dow isn't moving much higher. Do you read this? Is this a red flag for an opportunity? That's a really great question, actually. A couple of days ago, we saw that the markets were moving higher, the S&P and the NASDAQ, but the Russell and the diamonds were not. And there are still great strategies on those ETFs or the market. They don't have to go in sync. Okay, so for example, the S&Ps closed up, or the NASDAQ closed up about 1%. The Russell is actually down 0.75%. Okay, then the Dow's up only Dow's only up about less than 0.5%. S&Ps are up maybe a little more than 0.5% right now, even after hours. So the point is that sometimes by picking up, I think there was a couple of days ago where we were pushing down, and I said the NASDAQ was not making, it was the other way around. We were making new highs, and we were pushing up. I think it was either Friday or Monday. We were making new highs, pushing up, and I said the NASDAQ is not participating. Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, what else? Nvidia, we're not making new highs. So I said, you know what? This is another warning sign to me that the NASDAQ is not making new highs. Well, the NASDAQ was making new highs, the indice, the Qs and the NASDAQ futures, but these stocks were not, right? But again, I had sell divergences. I was comfortable being short, and they got kabooshed at within an hour later. The market dropped. So that's a really great question, actually. But Not necessarily in all my 41 years do they. I mean, there are times they're all going in the same direction and they're all up about the same percentage on any given day. But sometimes it's not really like that, and we adapt to that, and we see that, and we trade. That's why I have my screens up the way I do, is to identify that. But that's a really great question. Um, what's the easiest method of entering the market? Easiest method. Really, that's very vague. If you're talking about being a beginner or like what asset to trade, um, you know, with the requirements of the market, you have to have $25,000 in a day. If you want to day trade, if you want to invest, that's a complete different story. The easiest method for me is, I think futures markets are really great because obviously. You can have the simulator. You can practice on that simulator. Simulator. TradeStation by far. You can go to Google and type in TradeStation Matrix. You can watch the 49-minute video. You can watch how the orders. You can put the orders in very simply off their front end platform, and then you go from there. You can go into micros, and from micros you go into big ones when you feel comfortable. So I think the easiest method there for me is if you really want to learn something, I think, from my opinion, I would be looking at the futures markets unless you have enough capital to intraday trade. But there's no easy way. You have to just feel comfortable in what you really want to do. And I hope I answered your question with that. Which is the best market to start the day trading futures, stocks, options, or Forex? I think I answered that. I like futures. Forex does give you an advantage because you can, depending on your work schedule, you can trade the night session, the Tokyo or European session. And stocks, again, are great, but you have to understand that you have to have more than $25,000 in your account if you want to intraday trade. Order flow, best tool for analysis. I do not look at order flow. I do not look at volume. I built my own software. It's been taking me about 10 years to build it, and never back tested, always forward tested. So I hope anybody has any more questions here. If I hope I answered these questions, and if not, correct. If you have any more parts to the question, you can ask me. Okay. Well, here's another one coming in. Waiting. Okay. Which two markets are best for correlations? That's a great one. Well, I love gold, right? Gold, you have to use the underlying ETF, the GLDs, using my software. And also, I love the S&P futures, and I look at the SPY. Those two, if you want to look at the NASDAQ, then you have to look at the QQQs. If you want to look at the diamonds, you have to look at the SDAOs. If you want to look at the IWMs, then you have to look at the TZAs. Again, when you look at these markets, it's important. Remember what I said: the 15 to 30 and the 60-minute time frame. I do use the smaller time frames, like the 3 and the 5-minute time frames for entries and exits. So, if you want, if you want to look at like copper, there's really no ETF for copper. 30-year bond futures, I look at the 20-year ETF, the TLTs. As a correlation. Can you win solely on market structure? I don't know what that means. The market structure, can you win? It's about being consistent each and every day. To be able to hit your goal, to stop, watch, learn, and listen. Find an asset that you're familiar with or you want to learn. And that's what we do here each and every day. So many people have learned options over the years, and now they're switching to futures. And I'm teaching them throughout the day, and they love it. A lot of people like the simplicity of using futures, love the software, the ladder, the matrix. As I told you, you can Google, you can look at TradeStation Matrix. It's a 49-minute video. A lot of other firms have them, but I do like TradeStation because the margins are low for a micro and for a mini contract, and that's important as well. Running short of time, but you still have questions to join. All right. If you have any questions, because time is of the essence here, if you have any questions, please join my Discord community and visiting my sktrading.live. and I will answer questions there. Thank you for joining me tonight. Also, I do a podcast each and every night on my YouTube channel at SK Trading. The Bull, the Bear, and the Ugly. Please watch that. Please subscribe. It is a great, great podcast. I do it every night. I show you the examples. I teach you the strategies. I show you my software. And I show you the trades that we have made during the day and the ideas that we were from my community. It's really, really important. It's a great, great, great podcast. So please watch me each and every night, 6 p.m. Eastern. The Bull, the Bear, and the Ugly. If you'd like to follow me on social media, please follow me on official Stephen Clage on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for joining me here, and I hope to see you soon. Be well.